speaking up and being open and direct does not mean disrespectful. The respect is always there. So speaking up could be very simply meant that I'm not hiding what I'm thinking, but I'm saying in a way that you get it without being hurt. I'm not attacking you. I'm just saying something very obvious without becoming personal or becoming judgmental.
So Kai, thank you so much for spending time with us, and it's good to have you here. Now, you are a Chief Executive Officer, but during our conversation, you jovially said that you are more of Chief of Staff. So why did you say that?
If you Google Chief of Staff, it says a combination of assisting the executive, making sure he's on time, making sure that he says the right things, but also at the same time be the confidant and sounding board to the executives. So when they are having a moment of maybe doubt or an area where they're not so familiar with or secure, the Chief of Staff should be the person they go to and say, what do you think? And the Chief of Staff is working in the background, not in the limelight, but in the background and making sure the company and its functions, especially at the top, connecting the rest of the organization, will function. So you should be trustworthy. People should come to you thinking and knowing they can tell you anything related to work or maybe what they're going through that impacts their work. So I feel very, very strongly about making sure that my executives, especially my management that is overseas, will have the empathy and the understanding why certain things are not working out this way, but we could find another way. So always solution driven, always providing support. And I think that's my nature. I love supporting people, I love being there for people. And if you can combine that at work, that's a dream, isn't it?
I know that you love your team and you love working with your team. Often than not, during our past conversation, you've always, the word team members always floats up, and their well-being. And you also participated in one of our recent survey, which is Insights to the Future of Women in Leadership. And when we asked about attributes, empathy was actually one of the most mentioned keywords in terms of attributes to building future business models. What are some of your thoughts on that?
I think, and that's very much me, there's a very fine line between your personality at work and at home, and among your friends and among your teams. So you always, when we have this conversation, I want you to feel good with me. I want you to be feeling I can tell her or ask her anything and I'm at a safe place. And if you don't have that empathy, if you can't feel or try at least to put yourself into the other person's emotions, you might make wrong decisions. You may make decisions that hurts your team, hurts your business, and that is a fundamental skill to have in order to make sure there's a good balance. And the ultimate goal in business, of course, to be successful. But there are many ways to get there. And one of the most important, I think, skill you have to have is to be able to put yourself into the other person or the team's shoes and say, I have so many different individuals. How am I making sure they all support each other? Because they have different skills. And when they put themselves together, I always compare it to a puzzle piece. When you open a puzzle, so many different pieces, different shapes and forms and colors, you put them together on a ground, on a safe ground, a wonderful picture creates. And that's for me a part of where if you don't have that empathy, you will never be able to know where to find the right mixture.
I mean, you share with me that your team are, located all over the world. You're not necessarily in the same place at the same time, even in the same time zone, and people do feel isolated. And during COVID and in the realm of uncertainty, heightened stress, business pressure, the pressure from being responsible to your business to make sure that you're still making money. So as a CEO, how do you balance that? That emotional empathy towards how people are feeling psychologically to making sure that you're fulfilling the company's needs.
Yeah. Well, you refer to the CEO. I refer to the team leader, the one that has the responsibility over the others. Meaning that it's my job to encourage all the team members around the world in different functions that they know they're being listened to, they're being acknowledged, they're also being supported. And if you, as a CEO or as a managing director or as a leader, team leader, don't have that kind of interest to invest part of your time, not only on numbers, not only on presentations, or the worst you can do is on yourself. Like, how do I make myself look good? How am I going to be well understood? No, I always say if the people that work with me are prospering and performing and happy, that is a reflection on me. So I don't need to put myself in the front. I'm behind them. That's why the chief of staff, I'm behind them and have their security behind them, and they can just literally explore different ways of getting to the ultimate goal. And I think lots of times people just say, this is your budget, you're behind budget. But who created that budget? Can we exceed the budget? And in what ways, who can actually work together to make that ultimate goal more tangible? So that is where I'm constantly 24 hours, even in my sleep, take it in my sleep in a positive way and say, oh, I need to call her now in Dubai and say, I hear you. Why don't you just take charge of it? And it's not about more work. It's not about passing on responsibility, but delegation means also trust, Because I always say, if something goes wrong, I take it on. I have broad shoulders, I'm a strong woman, I'm confident. But if anything goes right, I will put you on a pedestal and say, she did it, he did it. No, these are the stars in our company that make it happen. That gives me a lot of satisfaction. And when I go home, or I'm at home, working from home, and shut down the camera or the laptop, and I'm thinking, good day today, because the team is absolutely aligned with what we're supposed to do. Does it make sense?
Yeah, totally. But in reality, all leaders go through, the pendulum of frustrations, right?
Yeah.
When there is lack of performance, where is underperformance, and you try the empathetic way and it's still not quite functioning. So how do you balance that moment of that? Balancing the love of caring people, but also consequential managing them that protects that psychological safety in that team.
Well, if you know those people who worked with me before in different industries, this is now where I'm back to my roots, but I've explored for more than 10 years 2 different industries as well. They will tell you I can be quite straightforward. So the care doesn't diminish the professionalism. It mostly makes me more honest. So if I need to sit down with somebody and say, hey, we are way behind budget, first of all, I will ask a lot of questions, but these questions are empathetic. That means I will say, why? How? What do you think? And not just, you didn't perform, you didn't, and assume. Put my thoughts into that person, but I want to hear it. And while that person is giving me his or her perspective, I'm thinking of kind of, how can I help? How can I, and Business is always the number one target. But again and again, if you just focus on the target, not on the way to reach there, and to be honest and sit down and look each other in the eyes and say, you can say to me whatever you want, at the end of the day, we need to find a solution. And this honesty, so far, I have always good feedback on that, because even if you can't give merit, if you can't give bonus, and you know that person has worked so hard and so well, but for whatever reason the company is not giving any, and you are as a leader always afraid to lose that candidate, that the person, because other companies will be much more generous, what do I do? Overseas, we sit down on Teams or on Zoom, and I take an hour of my time to say, look, how else can I support you? What is your ultimate wish? That I can help you, not necessarily monetary, but in a way that develops you, encourages you, and make you happy. It's always the same, where people maybe think it's not innovative to say that, but if you're not happy, it doesn't matter what I do to you, you will not perform as good as otherwise.
Yeah, great point. You are huge on building psychological safety in team, and referring to our previous conversation, you said that one of the most important ingredients in providing that safety is about speaking up and getting heard. And you say yourself, you know, you're not shy about speaking up, right?
Of course not.
So how do you balance that? You know, speaking up and getting heard in a very complex environment that we live in at the moment.
So, speaking up and being open and direct does not mean disrespectful. The respect is always there. So, speaking up could be very simply meant that I'm not hiding what I'm thinking, but I'm saying in a way that you get it without being hurt. I'm not attacking you. I'm just saying something very obvious without becoming personal or becoming judgmental. Because when I speak up, I'm still speaking very much up towards my bosses, my leaders. Why? Because I hope they want to know the truth. I don't want to package it nicely so they feel cushy, but they actually walk away and don't know what I meant. But I will speak up clearly, based on facts and not on emotions, but respectfully. You know, so I think if my team members give me feedback and I'm seeking for feedback, I say, how am I doing? It's 6 months into the year, you know, let's have reflection on how we work together, and it's very difficult sometimes to get feedback, but it's easy for me to give feedback. Because I'm not doing that because HR is asking me to do that. I'm doing that because I'm genuinely interested whether I'm acting accordingly and could do better. Because the self-reflection as a leader is also something that is very important. You know, is besides empathy, maybe the number 2 skill you have to have. Be silent for a moment and think of yourself and say, how could I do my work better, my communication better, and act with people in a more efficient way. So being outspoken has nothing to do with being disrespectful or annoying or loud or whatever. Outspoken just means being honest in a respectful way.
Why is it so important for leaders to lead the setting up of that psychological safety in team?
Because you don't know what they're going through. You are not, neither are you at the same location. And even if you're in the same location, you don't know what she or he has going on in their personal life or how their mindset is towards that task, that project. Maybe you ask them to do something that they are not secure on. They don't feel they have the skill. So, to be very honest with you, if the psychological safetyness is not an important matter to leaders, then I wonder, how do they deal with themselves? Because I believe that an honest and reflective and happy person, and happy doesn't mean everything is going well. Happy just means I accept my own flaws. I know my skills and my, not existing skills. But if you cannot balance this in a professional manner and not let your emotions and mood of the day, of the moment take over, then you're not providing a space where people with good skills, mindsets, feeling they can be honest and direct with you. And that's what I always encourage. Tell me what you think. And I hope you can tell me that in a manner that I'm listening. And if you can't tell me that in a manner that I get it, I will ask more. So communications must be on the same playing level. And that is why I'm very uncomfortable being given big titles, because with big titles, big responsibility comes along. And this responsibility has so many facets. So, and I am the first one to admit, I have not covered all the facets, but I'm working on it. And my team knows what my strengths and my weaknesses are, but they say, don't worry, Kai, what you can't do, we can do. And so, that comes together.
Yeah, teamwork.
Again, back to square one, teamwork.
This series is about conscious leadership, and one of the things that when we started talking about this concept, I love your reference when you said leaders should act or behave and speak like they are standing in front of their 4-year-old child.
Yes.
And why that analogy?
Well, I'm not a mother, but I have many godchildren since they're born. And what I always believe is, when you're born, you're innocent. And when you're super young, you're still very innocent, because you're not exposed to too many crazy things yet, I hope. So if I speak to somebody that is 4 years old, I need to, again, have the understanding, what will she think of me if I don't behave well? What if I'm screaming and yelling or being unprofessional? What will this 4-year-old think of me? Because this 4-year-old doesn't have the capacity yet to balance her impressions. She will have one impression and that's it. And she walks away with that for a long time. So for me, it's important when I speak to somebody that I will say, I hope I make my point very clear. And when you walk away, you don't have to love me, but at least you A, understood exactly what I was talking about. B, the time that we spent together was a good time. And C, it enables you to think and do and be enriched. But not because of me, but because of our interaction. And enriching small ones, little ones, isn't it our duty to teach, to guide, to mentor and groom those little ones to wonderful people? So yeah, I always hope that when people speak publicly or in front of people, that they are conscious about this,
Yeah, I really love that. Thank you. Because I feel that, every time we interact with children, they are almost like holding a mirror up towards us.
Yes.
We're actually seeing our own behavior.
Yes.
And if we say that we are, servant leader or, leaders with the passion to love our team, then the patience piece is going to be so important.
Yes, absolutely.
One of the findings from our survey recently said that there is not enough role models in terms of women in leadership, and perhaps mentorship and connection to leaders like yourself. So if someone were to see our video today and would like to reach out to you, what is the best way for them to be connected with you?
WhatsApp, phone call Al, he knows all my contacts, Instagram, Facebook, in any way, shape and form. I don't believe in hierarchy. I don't believe in making myself more important than I am. I'm a human being and that's it. And I always believe in paying forward. So I don't expect people to give me something in order for me to give back or to pay forward. So if anybody wants to have a conversation or being coached or mentored, I'm more than happy. I do have, I think if I'm not wrong, 8 mentees. They're all around the world. But when I say mentees, it sounds so serious. These are people that I met in business life and they never lost their connection with me. And sometimes they reach out and say, can I talk to you? I need your view on this. And I'm going like, sure, absolutely. You know, making time. And so anybody that feels that I maybe could add value or different perspective to how they progress or how they could, you know, act differently or more consciously, reach out.
Fantastic. What we'll do is in the body of our content, we'll put a hyperlink to your LinkedIn profile, and perhaps they can first connect with you through LinkedIn, and then from there, hopefully you'll have more blossoming relationships. Since
I'm not shy, I hope that nobody is shy contacting me. You know, I'm a people's person, and you always get what you see. You know, I haven't been one of those skills that I'm missing. Is I can't fake it. I can't pretend. This is something that my parents have not instilled in me, I suppose. So,
and that's why we love you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.